This beautiful pink flower is in bloom just about everywhere right now, probably even in your backyard. This is red clover, an herb you can harvest for free and work with to benefit your body in all kinds of ways. In this video, I show you 3 ways that you can utilize red clover for reproductive health, immunity, and overall vitality. Since red clover is a common backyard herb, I do want to just briefly show you guys how you can dry it in case you harvest a huge bouquet like I did. You're not going to use all of that in one day. So both the pink blossoms and the leaves of red clover are medicinal. So I just took a small section for demonstration purposes. So the leaves, just in case there's other like weeds or something caught up, the leaves of red clover have like this triangular pattern on them. I'm trying to get it in the camera so you'll know what it looks like. It has the triangular pattern. I'm just going to take the leaves and, just like I said in the video on how to do your dead nettle preps, which I will link somewhere on the screen, you're just going to place your leaves on a thin cotton rag, t-shirt, towel, something like that, so that the moisture can be absorbed. And you're going to let it sit for, I like to let my herbs sit for at least a week, but you're looking for that papery sound. So once that papery sound comes, you'll know your herbs are dry. And again, I covered what I'm talking about in detail in the dead nettle preps video. I will link it somewhere on the screen. By the way, my name is Bree. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you're interested in learning how you can grow your own food and herbs and how to use fresh produce and fresh herbs to make your own herbal medicine, skincare products, and recipes, make sure you like this video and click the subscribe button to stay connected. Now when it comes to your red clover blossoms, that's going to be a bit different. So seeing as that they're so bulky, it's recommended to dehydrate them because the outer parts that's laying directly on your cotton towel, cloth, whatever you're using, will get dry, but it would be harder for the inside of the bulk of the flower to dry out. So that's recommended. You don't have to do that, but keep in mind that there is a high possibility that they might mold if you don't dehydrate them. And then in addition to plucking off the leaves and blossoms, you could also just keep your red clover in a bundle like how I showed in the beginning. Just make sure they're small bundles so that everything gets air and can dry, and you can hang them on the wall to dry them like that. Someone on TikTok asked if I could make a video showing you guys a few ways to use red clover after I made my dead nettle video. So of course I had to deliver. I just harvested this red clover out of the ground today. Haven't even processed it yet, but let's just get right into some of the benefits of red clover, who red clover is, and the energy of red clover. So red clover is actually a legume family plant. It grows just about everywhere. Energetically, red clover is cooling and moistening, and this plays a role in the preparations I'm going to show you guys later. So the cooling and moistening energetics of red clover are very beneficial for menopausal women, especially with those hot flashes, and you know, you may be experiencing a little bit of vaginal dryness due to your estrogen levels being so low. And on top of red clover having cooling and moistening energetics, it also has phytoestrogens that act like estrogen in the body. Again, it's an amazing herb for menopausal women or women who just need some hormone balance in general, especially when it comes to estrogen issues. Red clover is also a very nutritious herb. It is a lymph moving herb, which means that it helps to get your lymph nodes flowing all the waste and everything through. If you don't know, your lymph nodes are like everywhere in your body, but they don't have a physical mechanism to move them on their own, so they typically move as you move. So red clover also helps to move the lymph system to get the waste moving and eventually out of your body. The lymph system is very important in immunity and detoxification. And specifically regarding red clover's nutrient profile, it's a very calcium dense herb, and it's amazing for bone building. So this is just a really good herb for older women, but people in general, if you need some more calcium or just overall nutrition, red clover is going to be your friend. So red clover prep number 1 is a yoni steam. This is actually the reason why I harvested so much red clover. I'm going to be incorporating it into my follicular yoni steams. I will get into that later, but as mentioned before, red clover is energetically cooling and moistening. So cooling would be very beneficial if you are a heavy bleeder, if you do still have your menstrual, and the moistening properties will be beneficial overall for balancing out your yoni steam blends, and for, like I said, the menopausal women who are experiencing vaginal dryness due to how low their estrogen levels are, and then also supporting estrogen levels if you have hormonal imbalance, specifically lower estrogen than what's needed. The yoni steaming is a direct way to help these herbs get into your bloodstream. I've yoni steamed with mugwort, and if you're familiar with mugwort can induce lucid dreaming, and I've lucid dreamed from yoni steaming, not even drinking a tea. But I will make a mugwort video because that was also requested. I'll talk about that more then. But I'm going to show you guys how to prep a yoni steam and how you can yoni steam. I'm obviously not going to yoni steam on camera, just showing the preparation process. So normally what I do, I'll use 1/4 cup of herbs per 4 cups of distilled water. Do not use tap water unless your tap is filtered, and you're going to bring your herbs to a boil. Also, a note, if you are using fresh herbs, multiply that quantity by 3. So you would use 3/4 cup of fresh herbs for 4 cups of water if it's fresh, and then if it's dry, just 1/4 cup of herbs per 4 cups of water. So I'm just going to bring a small amount to a boil just to show you guys how you would prep the herbs for the yoni steam, and then we'll demonstrate from there. Okay, once your water is boiling, you're going to add in your herbs. So we are briefly decocting the herbs. This is typically when I would express my gratitude, pray over your herbs, whatever it is that you want to do, speak your intention based on your spiritual practice. And then we're going to allow the herbs to simmer or decoct with a lid on for just 5 minutes. And I intentionally this time left the heat on, it's on medium, because I realized that when you turn it down, now if you don't have a yoni steam seat, you do want to turn it down to low so that it simmers on low heat. But because I have a seat now and there's distance between my bowl and myself, I need to have my herbs and my water hotter so that the steam can move faster. So if you are steaming without a yoni steam seat, turn the water down to the lowest setting possible so that you don't have as much steam. And if you do have a yoni steam seat, keep it on whatever temperature or level you have it at to get it boiling, so that there's enough steam being generated to travel up to where you are and to close that distance between the bowl on the floor and your seat. So to yoni steam with a bowl, without a yoni steam seat, there's a couple ways you can do this. So once your herbs come off the stove, you're going to pour them in a designated yoni steaming bowl or pot and put the lid on it. If you don't have a seat, allow it to cool with the lid on for about 5 minutes. This is typically when I do a womb massage with like grapeseed or castor oil. And then you'll steam, because you don't want it to be too hot. We don't want to burn any of our skin. Did that before, you don't want to do that. So let it cool with the lid on for 5 minutes if you don't have a seat. If you have a seat, it gives you some height. You don't need to wait because you want the steam to still be coming off of the herbs. So you're going to put it down. And once you steam, you can sit over the bowl like this. Put some pillows under your knees if you need to, and just steam like this. You'll put blankets around you to keep the steam inside. You don't want any of the steam to escape. It's supposed to be steaming your yoni, not your environment. So you'll put some blankets around your waist, and you'll do this for 15 to 30 minutes. So this is one way you could steam. You could also steam like this. And then if you have like a couch, a chair, a bed, you could put your bowl down and do either of the poses I just mentioned, and then lean on your bowl or whatever. This would probably be the best, especially if you don't really have, bendable knees or whatever. I recommend investing in the yoni steam seat. I had to, because my knees were just like, baby, I can't keep doing this. So that's how you yoni steam with a bowl or a pot. designated for yoni steaming. Do not eat or cook with the pot or bowl that you steam your vagina with. That's just not sanitary. So, fresh off the stove, pay attention to the steam. This is what we want. This is what we want. So, you would transfer both your water and your herbs to your bowl or pot that you yoni steaming with. Again, if you don't have a seat and you're going to be super close, put the lid on and let it cool for 5 minutes. If you do have a seat and there's a lot of distance between your bowl and your yoni, as soon as you get it poured in the bowl, you're ready to start steaming, because this is what we want to actually move the medicinal benefits of red clover that have just been extracted into the water into our bodies. The steam is the mechanism of transfer here. I'm gonna put this tea back on the stove and we're gonna use it for a prep later while I show you guys prep number 2. So red clover prep number 2 is an herbal bath. So this pertains to red clover's ability to stimulate movement of your lymph. Adding red clover to your bath water can help move your lymph, and it's like a really detoxifying bath. So definitely make sure you're hydrated before you take your bath. But there's 3 ways that you can incorporate red clover into your bath. So the first thing you can do is use a muslin bag or a tea bag. This is a really, really large tea bag. And what you would do is you would put your herbs in the tea bag. So I add a little bit of flowers, add some leaves. Of course you would add more than that. And then you would tie it up. And you would tie this around the faucet of your bathtub. So as the water is running, all of the medicinal properties in the red clover that can be extracted through water are being extracted into your bath. So you would hang this tea bag, muslin bag, cheesecloth with a rubber band on your faucet as the water is running. Ideally hot water. You could use cooler water too, but it will take longer for everything to be extracted from the herb if the water is colder. So that's one way you can add the herbs to your bath. Another way you can add the herbs to your bath is if you make a pot of tea, just like we did, specifically decocting it so that it's stronger, and you would pour the entire pot of tea, or you can strain the herbs out into your bath water. Of course, you would need to add some cold water so that it's not boiling hot when you get in, but you could just brew a cup of red clover tea and add that to your bath water, and that'll be your lymph moving, detoxifying bath. And the third way you could add red clover to your bath is to get your tea bag, muslin bag, whatever, and just put the bag directly in the bath water instead of tying it on top of the faucet. So again, as it's sitting in the water and the tub is filling up, the properties in the red clover that are water extractable are getting extracted into your bath water. The hotter, the faster, but cooler would work as well. Just know that, hot will get things moving faster. But those are 3 different ways you can incorporate red clover into an herbal bath. So again, red clover is a lymph moving herb. So by taking in the medicinal properties of red clover through your skin in the bath, it will stimulate movement in your lymph nodes. And lymph nodes are very important in immunity, very important in detoxification. They help to clear the, let's just call it matter, that everything else is sitting in your body. Your lymph nodes clean that. So all of that waste is sitting in them. And clogs or blockages in your lymph nodes can cause swelling. They can cause acne along the lymph nodes. They can cause more serious issues like cancer that has something to do with your immunity and not being able to properly detox. This is not medical advice. I read a lot of books by holistic doctors. I'm not a doctor. It's not medical advice, but having a lymph that is flowing is very important for your overall health, specifically immunity. So lymph moving baths, that'd be something to incorporate really like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Dry brushing is another thing that you can do for lymph movement, but an herbal bath with red clover and something like calendula would be really, really good for getting the lymph moving and supporting your immune system. So our third and final red clover prep is an herbal milk. So this is working in tandem with the fact that red clover is a very calcium dense herb and is beneficial for bone building. So when people think about calcium and bones, they typically think milk. So I'm like, okay, why not make an herbal milk? So I'm going to make a hemp milk You can use whatever milk you desire. If you want to make an almond milk, go ahead. If you want to make a cashew milk, you could go ahead and do that. But all I'm gonna do is make our milk. So any type of plant-based milk is literally whatever substance that you're using, like whether it's hemp seeds, whether it's pumpkin seeds, whether it's cashews, it's just that substance blended in water. If you're using nuts, you will need to soak them overnight. Seeds, ideally you would soak those overnight as well, like pumpkin seeds. But we're just making it with water. So for hemp seeds, the ratio is about half a cup to 4 cups of water. I'm not gonna make that much. I don't need that much, and I don't wanna just make it and waste it. So I will be using what I'm making right now in my oatmeal tomorrow when I make it. But that's the ratio if you're making a big batch of hemp milk. 1/2 cup of hemp seeds per 4 cups of water. So I'm just gonna add the hemp seeds to my blender, and then I'm going to strain the tea that we made earlier. This is why I did not use it to steam. Actually do yoni steam. Please remember to discard herbs that you have already worked with back outside. The earth gave them to you. Do her a favor and give them back when you're finished. But I'm just going to blend this. You can sweeten it if you want to. You can add dates to sweeten it. You can add maple syrup. You can add vanilla extract, cinnamon, whatever you want. If you like drink milk or like for pleasure or whatever, you can sweeten it if you want to. Like I said, I'm going to put this little bit in my oatmeal tomorrow. So that's already going to have sweeteners in it. I'm not going to sweeten the milk. But you would just blend it. And now we're going to strain our red clover milk. And you can use this milk wherever you would normally use milk. So if you make coffee with milk, you could use this in place of that milk that you make your coffee with. If you make oatmeal with milk, you could use this in place in your oatmeal. If you bake with milk, wherever you normally use milk, you could use this recipe, this herbal milk. And that way you're getting some nice plant-based calcium readily available for the body to use. And all the other benefits that come with consuming red clover. So there's our herbal milk. Might I also mention straining is optional. There is a lot of like stuff that comes out from the hemp seeds, but you don't have to strain it. Just know that if you don't strain it, it will be a little thicker. But this is our third prep, our herbal milk. So a few honorable mentions. You can also make red clover ice cubes similarly to how we did in the dead nettle preps video, which I linked earlier in this video. That'll be a perfect way to get those nutrients in, whether you taking the red clover for the calcium, for the phytoestrogens, for the cooling and moistening properties. Making a red clover tea and freezing them in ice cubes is a perfect and simple, easy, convenient way to get all of that in you, because you could just pop the ice cube in whatever else you're drinking, whether that's the iced coffee, whether that's water, whether it's a tea, a lemonade, whatever it is. Just pop that red clover ice cube in and you're good to go. Of course, you could just make a red clover tea and drink that, sweeten as desired, honey, maple syrup, date syrup. It does have a slightly green taste to it, but I'm learning in a new herbal book that I'm reading right now that green taste is indicative of the nutritive properties of that herb. The greener it tastes, the more nutritious it is. So if you taste greenery, then just know that it's nutrient dense, but it's very slight, the red clover. But you could also just make a regular tea. And of course, you can make an herbal lemonade with your red clover as well. I will link the herbal mango lemonade recipe that I shared a couple weeks ago with stinging nettle. You can follow that recipe and customize it your own fruits. If you don't want to make mango lemonade, you can do strawberry lemonade, blueberry lemonade, whatever your heart desires. Let me know which herbs you guys want me to do next. Mugwort was requested, so that is on the list. I'm trying to work with herbs that are readily accessible for most people in the United States. So if you are aware, even if you don't, just post a picture on a post on my channel or whatever and say, hey, can you do a video on this? And I'll make that happen. I'm also open to doing videos on different ways you can use or work with herbs that are not commonly grown. That's just something I would focus on over the winter. So let me know in the comment section which herbs you guys would like to see next and which of these red clover preps you did. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and I'll see you guys next week.